Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Hello, happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group. And as you can tell a little bit in my voice, I am recovering from a cold. And I think it's important to let everybody know that carnivores and ketovores and people eating low carb get colds. It happens. We get COVID. We get, we still get sick. This isn't the magic bullet. This isn't the cure-all, be-all, end-all. It just improves our immune system. But I'm feeling incrementally better today. It's been a rough week. So I'm so glad to be with you guys and to be able to share with you and talk with you and just continue this conversation. And so this morning we are going to start with Tom. He has quite the update. So go ahead, Tom, and you might want to give people a little bit of a snippet of where you're coming from, because maybe they haven't seen your story from before. So just go ahead and give a brief overview of your story.
So in January of this year, I was probably at my worst health ever. I weighed over 300 pounds. I felt terrible. I even was saying to myself, I'm going to die soon if I don't do something. And my brother
had just how old?
I'm 61.
Okay.
So my brother had just passed about a year and a half, 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, I just finished getting his gravestone done from the VA.
Oh my goodness.
And my basically I have my family history of heart disease and diabetes, things like that. So in January, at my worst health, my lipids, cholesterol were perfect all across the board. Triglycerides, cholesterol, and whatever the third one is, the LDL calculated. Sorry.
Yeah.
Those were all perfect, and I'm like, okay. Then I start finding out about carnivores. So I did carnivore starting February 5th. So I immediately lost, like 30 pounds in the first, month and a half. My A1C was 8.2 when in January, and then in less than 2 months it went down to 5.7.
Wow.
So I reversed my type 2 diabetes in basically in about a month and a half, 2 months on carnivore. I lost a total of 55 pounds. I'm down 55 pounds as of today. So then I of course I'm a PhD, so I'm doing all this research and I'm listening to all these doctors and about statins, things like that. And the more I dig, the more I know that this is the right place, and carnivore is the right thing, because I can feel it, I could see it on my body. It's like the transformation is crazy. Unfortunately, I had. So let me back up here. I told you my lipids were perfect, right? So I took
In
myself off
January before
in
you
January
started,
before I started,
when you were sick.
when I was sick, the worst ever feeling. So now I feel so much better right now. I went and did my blood work about a week and a half ago. And I kind of had it because I took myself off statins after doing all that research too, listening to Dr. Mason, Dr. Berg, all these other doctors that
When did you take yourself off statins?
probably about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I immediately noticed feeling better mentally, had better clarity.
Really?
I had better inner clarity. And so then I get my blood work and I go, and my triglycerides are even better this time. That's to me the most important one. Cholesterol jumped up to 312 or 342
wow.
or something like that, and the LDL-C went up too. So technically, they're out of range. But with all the research I've been doing, Bailey, don't start, please. With all the research I'm doing, I'm happy with that. But I just know my doctor's not going to be. So I go in there, I'm like, I couldn't even sleep just the day before going to the doctor's office. And the first thing he says, he goes, "That's not good." And I was like, "I disagree with you." He was like, so to his credit, though, I go, "I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that." And then he just calmly sat down and he goes, "Okay, 2018, you had a CT calcium score that put you at high risk, very high risk. As matter, and it's true. It was, and that was 4 years ago. I had a calcium score of very high risk. Now, if they were so concerned about that calcium score, then why haven't they asked for it again and again and again?" So that through that whole thing, he wants to put me back on statins because otherwise I'm going to die. Basically you're going to have a heart attack. So I'm like, I'm starting to get like depressed right immediately because I'm like, come on, and yeah, he's got me on the calcium score. So then he wants to put me back on Crestor. So I begrudgingly accepted that. And I'm like,
Crestor?
because I don't Crestor, which is another type of statin that has less side effects supposedly.
Okay.
So same, and this is not. Sorry,
it's okay.
Not a small dose. This is that was my iPad that just went flying. So a small dose. It's 40 milligrams. This is not a small dose.
Wow.
So I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, come on. So wait a minute. Why didn't he ask me to do an updated CT scan? So I sent him a message. I said, "Can you please order me a CT scan?" So I went back in. He did. So he called me up, said, "Okay, I'll order you another one." Why didn't he do that to begin with? Why isn't my cardiologist, who I've been seeing regularly, said anything about this CT calcium score? And my blood pressure, let's talk about my blood pressure, went from high to 160, 170 in January to 125 over 75 on Monday.
Whoa.
So it's down like to where it should be, And Dr. Ken Berry always says that he thinks that the parameters for blood pressure are too low, anyways, the criteria. So I probably have perfect blood pressure right now. My A1C is 5.7. I still want to get it down, obviously.
But still, from 8.2.
I know, yeah.
I mean, that quick.
So then I get the CT calcium score, and I'm like, it was way worse. It was like I went from 1289 to 2000 something, and and the funny thing is that the left main artery went from 242 to 0. And I asked him, I said, "Can you reverse calcium deposit in your heart?" He goes, "I don't think so." And I said, "Well, I've seen evidence where that's not true." And I said, reference Dr. Berg, the cardiologist from Johns Hopkins, who had, serious, arterial disease, and he reversed it on a carnivore diet, on a low carb diet. And he's not, there's others out there. So here's what I'm hoping is, I'm kind of down, right? My wife won't even let me. She says, "So last time you're cutting the grass, we're having somebody else cut the grass now until you get the all clear."
Oh,
she doesn't want me. You remember the trench that I dug?
Yeah, you've done some extensive yard work.
Yeah, and
that would be tough for a 30-year-old.
So what I'm thinking, and I was saying, like, late last year and early this year, that I felt terrible. I just like, I kept saying, I'm gonna die soon if I don't do something, and I could feel it. So what I'm wondering is, what was my CT calcium score in January and February, and did I improve it in that 4 months? I have no way of knowing that. So now this is my new baseline. And I had to freaking ask him to do the CT calcium score. If they're so concerned about it, I mean, that's the best way to determine if you're at risk for a heart attack. But what can you do about it? Oh, here, let me give you some more pills here, and let's just check you in 3 more months and see how that's going. So he'll be happy if I get that cholesterol down to the green range. And then coincidentally, if the CT calcium scores out, see that statin really worked. And it's not the statins. I mean, even Dr. Berg, they're saying like 5 milligrams of atorvastatin or a Crestor or whatever. It's a low dose. And really what you want to do is to have, there's some supplements that you can take like cod liver oil, and torpitol, or I don't have the right pronunciations. So I went ahead and I chose 3 of them that I'm going to start doing. I've already got 2 in the mail and I got 1 coming. So I'm gonna do a annual CT calcium score. It's like $75. Some insurance companies cover it. Now they told me they weren't covering it, but now when I went there, I was ready to pay $75. They said, no, your insurance will cover it now. And I said, okay. So how many I can do, I don't know, but I'm gonna make him give me one every 2 months. I'm gonna even do 6 months. I don't know. Because all I'm doing now is waiting around to have a heart attack and die. And I'm like, I feel fine. And I don't, I'm a little bit down about it because I've been doing all this hard work with carnivore, which is going great, by the way. And I just got through having some Kelly Hogan carnivore cookies just before coming on here. Had to whip them down real quick. My go-tos are steak and hamburgers, of course. But so really, that's it. So I'm at a quandary right now. Do I continue taking the Crestor? I kind of wish. I'm going to Rebecca's retreat in October, by the way. So I hope I don't die before then, because I really want to go. And
stop it! You're not going to die. You're not going to die. Well, you're going to live.
Well, I hope I feel like if I have a chance to survive this high score that I have and not have a heart attack anytime soon, it's carnivore that's going to do it. And I really believe that, because the doctor, he's like, and to his credit though, he's a retired military guy, but I don't know if he's a full believer in this yet, but I know he was shocked when my A1C went from 8.2 to 5.7 in like 2 months. And so, and I told him,
it's hard to argue with that.
I know. I said the research shows. I said, I'm a PhD. I'm not a medical doctor. I know, but I know how to do research. And the research clearly shows that cholesterol is not an indicator of heart disease. But here I am taking Crestor because, I'm scared enough to, is he right? Or because there really isn't, as even Dr. Berg says, a low dose of statin. But so I don't want to take any more of the time. I just wanted to give that update, because if I highly recommend everybody do a CT scan. Why not? It's a low dose of radiation. It only costs $75, $100 at the most. Get it done. If you have a 0 score, you're like, you don't have to. That's one thing you can take off your worry list, your heart. And so.
Well, and here's the thing that bothers me about this, Tom, is that the regular patient, the regular common everyday man is going to go to his doctor and not be a PhD.
That's right.
And not have the ability to research. And that doctor has complete control. What's that?
That's my research.
Yeah. I
was going to make a notebook, but
exactly.
Anyways, I got more.
And so I think that's why I think it's so important for us to have these conversations publicly, to say, hey, this isn't the whole picture. This isn't the whole picture. This one number is not the whole picture. But then that doctor instills fear, and he instilled fear in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what really bothers me, is that what other people are going to the doctor and they're being crippled by this fear that they're going to die, and then that they're going to be put on these medications that don't help. you
Yeah.
know?
That's exactly where I'm at right now. And so, my wife, she doesn't want me to do that. So she actually wants me to go to a cardiologist at Johns Hopkins, which is not, I live in Maryland, so it's convenient.
That's
So,
good.
but I may do that. I mean, if I can reverse this, I'm going to do everything I can. And then, I don't know, I'm not in the mood to be writing research anymore, but
No,
because
no, no.
after I was done doing that, I was like, I'm never doing this anymore. I'm done. So,
Well, keep us updated, Tom, because I'm so thankful for you that you're willing to, have this conversation publicly, for other people. If anything, just to kind of like encourage them that there there is more than one view.
yeah, exactly. I appreciate it.
No problem. Keep us updated.
I'm going to stay on and listening.
All right, thanks. Good to have you here. And Becky, you wanted to update us?
Yeah, just to give you an update. So I'm still on schedule to have the duodenal switch reversed, which is the malabsorption part of the weight loss surgery, for August 2nd. And the doctor, that's with Dr. Rob's in Florida, and I'm in California. He calls himself the carb addiction doctor, if people like to watch him too. And I've been talking with his nutritionist there, and they're carnivore, keto, low carb. And so that's been helpful. He's out of the country, unfortunately, so I wish I could talk directly to him, but working through his nutritionist, so that's really good. And then I have a product that she recommended. I just got it in the mail this morning, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about it if anybody else has had any experience with it. Because I malabsorb so much fat, 80% of the fat, it's really hard for me to do a high-fat diet without inducing diarrhea because of the weight loss surgery. So that's one reason why I'm reversing it, so that I have less malabsorption of all my nutrition, but also so I could do more high fat. We were talking about doing exogenous ketones temporarily, just to try to help with the bipolar, the neuropathy, and the Parkinson's. She suggested this product. She actually had not had a chance to try it yet, but she thought, try it, and then she's going to try it too. Has anybody heard this? You're laughing.
I'm laughing. I just bought it last month. That's so funny.
She said that it because I had some exogenous ketones they were MCT oil powder, that might induce the diarrhea, and then I just have the same problem. But this one doesn't have any fat in it. I'm like, what's in there? Because there's 70 calories, there's 0 fat, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 0 protein. I'm like, what is it? And then I don't even know if I can pronounce this, but it's R-13-butanerol. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. Whenever I bought it, I was like, well, I don't even know what this is. But the theory is, I'll tell you the reason I bought it. The reason I bought it was because I was trying to lower my blood glucose and increase my ketones. And my body needed kind of a jump start to be able to do that. You would think me eating carnivore for 3 years, I was in ketosis, but it wasn't. I wasn't. I was eating high protein, and my blood glucose was so high that my ketones were not. Apparently, I don't understand the science of it, but apparently it's like a converse relationship. Anyway, so the theory is that you can have exogenous ketones to remind your body what it feels like to be fueled on ketones instead of sugar. And then your body just like wakes up and goes, oh, okay, yeah, let's make more of those. So it's not a permanent fix. It's not something that you have to have forever. It's just something that you can use to support your body to be able to produce its own ketones, because exogenous ketones can never compare to you making your own ketones. But if you don't make your own ketones, then exogenous ketones can like retrain your body to make those. So that's my 2 cents on that. And that's an extremely good product.
That's good to hear because I mean, I trusted her. She admitted she hadn't actually used it, but she had read about it and studied about it. And she thought I should try it since I have a month to wait where I'm still eating fat, but I have to be careful how much. And I had to cut back a little bit. But
I will say real quick, sorry, the reason I love that product is because you only have to take a shot. Instead of the other exogenous ketones are in a powder where you have to take a whole glass and it has all of these sweeteners in it. And so you have to drink and for me, I hadn't had any sweetener, any sweet taste in my mouth for 3 years. For me to drink an entire like glass of this stevia or whatever was like, ugh, it was disgusting. But for me to take a shot of this little thing, I can do that all day long. Not a problem. Not all day long, but once a day is when I did it.
1 in 3 shots, kind of depending, I guess, how you feel or what you need.
Yeah, you can have up to 3 a day. You're right.
Well, we're a big Navy family, and shout out to Pearl Harbor. Our kids are in Pearl Harbor at the Navy, and we have relatives that are Navy SEALs, and they say they use this to keep their brain sharp.
Exactly.
So,
it is called Ketone IQ. You can look it up and buy it, I believe, on their website, Ketone IQ.
I haven't tasted it yet, so I hope it doesn't taste too bad.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. But it's a shot. I mean, I'm used to, doing shots of whiskey and whatever, back in the day, and vodka and tequila. So for me, it was just like, mind over matter. Just, it's so tiny that I can do that.
And then I think, we have a month, so we're getting our tickets and everything purchased to go to Florida. So that'll be fun.
Awesome. Keep us updated.
A little closer to where Brett Lloyd is, the Thankful Carnivore.
Yes.
And that's so funny because he lives in the same neighborhood where my daughter lived when she was at Mayport Naval Air Base. They have a home there. They live in the same neighborhood, but we didn't. And she lived there for 15 years, but we weren't in this community at the time. Now they're in Pearl Harbor.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Becky.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. And Vicki, you had a question or a comment? Let me see if I can.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to get to the screen
No,
myself.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm sorry. I just got home from services. I didn't stay for the whole thing. I just did worship. So, which is why I'm, dressed like this.
You're fine.
I didn't get a chance to come in and get comfortable. But anyway, all right. So first of all, I don't know who it was last week that gave the recipe for the egg yolks with the melted butter with the baking powder. Amy, I want to just give her a shout out because I made those and had a hamburger last night with that as my bun. And so that was the first time that I have been able to eat a hamburger since going carnivore, because I wasn't doing the chaffles like I had been doing, because the egg whites really caused me problems. And so I wasn't using all that cheese as well. But anyway, I just wanted to give her a shout out. So
just for anybody who didn't hear that, go ahead and tell again what the recipe is.
If you want to just make like one part of the bun, so I use a mini waffle maker. So I did two. And
egg yolks.
So I did 2 egg yolks, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking powder. And I put that into my mini waffle maker, and it made my buns for me, and it was fabulous. In fact, I really think it tastes better than the chaffles that I've been making this whole time, on keto. And so I like the texture of it better. It was more stable and didn't get soggy at all. So I really liked it.
Awesome. I will pass this on to Amy. Thank you.
Yes. I looked to see if I was following her, and then I couldn't remember what her name was, but
Carnivore's Angel.
Okay.
Carnivore's Angel. And let me tell you, she is Carnivore's Angel. She has given us so many ideas on how to eat this way. and not lose our minds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
So,
posted
yeah.
about it, and so I wanted to be able to tag her to give her a shout out for giving me that recipe, but I didn't know what her name was.
Yeah, she's Carnivore's Angel on YouTube and on Instagram. What were you
Okay.
going to say, Tom? Were you going to add in on
I was
that?
going to say, I saw Amy in our last two meetings, and then she's not on this one when I'm on finally. I was going to say hi, but
Well,
she's like
I
a
will tell her.
celebrity in the
I will
carnivore
tell
community.
her she is missed. She actually is traveling today, and won't be able to make it today. But she tries to make as many meetings as she can. But I'll tell her she was missed. Go ahead, Vicky. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. So the question I have is, I'm really trying to work on getting the amount of protein and fats straightened out. And usually I only eat one meal a day, and it's usually like a fatty ribeye. And if I make it in my air fryer, then the fat that goes under, I pour that in a little saucer, and that's my dipping sauce. And so, but I don't know, I know, like, I've kind of messed up lately because I ate the plums from my plum tree. I have an orchard, and
You
then
didn't mess up. You didn't mess up. You were experimenting. Vicky, I know because you talked to me. You made a conscious decision to try the fruit that is on your land. That is not a mess up. That is an experiment.
Okay. Well, ever since I ate the blueberries, I've been craving sweets so bad. And I will sit here and just crave going out to the blueberry bushes. And I want to go out there and just devour all of them. And I'm up 7 pounds. So I'm very upset. Karen kind of helped me yesterday because she had me name everything that has happened, all the great things that this has done for me. IBS gone, IBD gone, inflammation gone, and so, but I need to try to figure out I know everybody's different. Your ratio may not be my ratio, but how can I actually get this down to a science and figure out what I'm supposed to be eating as for my fat to be able to always to be satiated and not have this craving hit me? Because like last night, man, I ate some short ribs yesterday before my acupuncture chiropractic appointment, and because I have sciatica. And then when I came home, I had the hamburgers with the Amy's recipe for my buns. And even after that, I was thinking about that blueberry bush, the big giant blueberry bush, and all those beautiful blueberries. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I'm like, I've got to figure something out, because that's an addiction that's out in my front yard. It's like, and it's just very frustrating. And just any suggestions anybody could give me, I greatly appreciate it. So, except for don't tell me to burn my blueberry bush.
No problem. You wanted to say something, Tom?
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
was that made me think about I watched a Kelly Hogan video not too long ago, and she said a good way to get past like a craving, like a sugar craving, is to if you get those if you're planning for vacation, you get the high of planning for vacation, and it goes to your brain, and then you'll forget about, like if there's something coming up that you can get your mind off a bit, like plan for vacation. That is something that can get your. She used a term to a medical term that whatever gets in your brain when you're.
Adrenaline, I think.
Yeah, well, adrenaline was another word. I was see. This is the statins that are doing this to me. Otherwise, I remember this stupid term.
Oh
But
man, Tom, that's so true.
it
Is it
is so
endorphin?
true. But Kelly Hogan, that was a great suggestion, and I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, it gets your brain. How the sugar goes to your brain. Well, this whatever chemical reaction that is. The planning for vacation does the same thing, or some other thing that excites you or something. So,
Karen, did you watch that video? Do you remember that video, Karen? Oh, she's eating. Sorry.
Was she talking about the dopamine hits?
Dopamine. You did it. You're not on statins, are you,
You're not
Karen?
on statins.
I was at one time, you guys. No more. I went off. I'll let you talk, then I can talk. I'll let you finish, Thomas.
No, that's okay. He wants you to finish.
I was at one time, and high blood pressure pills, 2 different ones, water pill on that, and cholesterol meds, and a CPAP machine. Kicked that all to the curb when I did low carb, so that really helped with low carb. Then when I was low carb, I just said I'm going off those cholesterol meds because I'm being a little healthier, which I really wasn't. So I just went off of it. I went for my yearly checkup, and the doctor's like, your cholesterol is really high, your triglycerides are crazy. You need to, why'd you go off of them? I'm like, because I'm healthier. So I said, give me a little time. I'll correct it myself. So he said, okay. He said, low carb is good. I said, I did low carb for a while. I said, I'll do low carb. And that was almost 5 years ago this fall. I did low carb for a little over 2 years, and I've been carnivore for 2.5 years, and I'm never going back. I mean, that low carb was a nice step for me. And then carnivore's taking me to the next level. So no more meds. My triglycerides are like 36 now, and they like under 150, and I was like 300 when I went off everything, and I was eating all the crap. So I'm good.
So has your doctor said anything to you since about getting back on them or anything?
No, he knows everything I do. And my total cholesterol, I want to say, is like 222 or something like that. He's like, Karen, I'm really supposed to tell you to go back on him, but I know what you're going to say. I said, you're darn right. You know what I'm going to say. I don't want that junk. So he knows how I am. And the nurse practitioner was all excited about it, wanted to hear more. And I've told them this nurse, I gave him some videos to listen to. So yeah, who knows? So anyway, he said I'm a model patient. Hey, Thomas, I heard you say you're in Maryland. Are you going to go to the meetup in New Jersey?
There's a meetup in New Jersey.
Hello, July 16th, the carnivore doctor's hosting it. You should go.
Carnivore doctor is?
Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Are you on Instagram?
I've seen her before. What was it, July 16th?
It is Saturday, noon. It's going to be pretty cool. I'll be there. I'm coming in from Illinois, but I'm from that area, so I'm really go see family.
I'm actually thinking about going to Dr. Barry's thing in September, but I am going to Rebecca Farmer's retreat in October. My wife is too. So
that's great. Well, you're pretty close in Maryland to New Jersey, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I know she kind of. If you want to go, you gotta let her know ASAP. Because
I try to avoid New Jersey if I can, but
stop it. I'm the Jersey Devil. That was my CB name. I went trekking with my husband.
Okay.
Watch it.
I'm just kidding, of course. Yeah, I live in Maryland, so what I can't say much.
That's just as bad. I love going to Jersey. And I live I grew up like 2 miles away from where carnivore doctor lives. And where I stay at my brother's is like 2 miles away from where she lives. So it's pretty cool. So I hung out with her a lot last year and the year before. So, all right.
I'll check that out. I'll let you know.
All right. Great.
Thanks
for letting me talk, Em.
Hey,
No problem.
Are there any meetups in Florida during the time I'm going to be there, the first week in August? Anybody here in Southern Florida? Just if you post it.
There's going to be one in Massachusetts in September, but that's not posted yet.
I don't know. We'll have to keep a lookout for that.
Contact Lady Carnivory. She's in Florida. Maybe she'll work something with you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about your friend as well.
Yeah, Lady Carnivory's in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
We're going to be down by, we're going to be in Palm Beach Garden, a couple hours south of Jacksonville.
Cool. But we'll keep a lookout for any meetups in Florida, and we'll let you know.
Appreciate it.
So we'll go back to our original question real quick that we skipped over. So Vicky, cravings. Yeah, that video from Kelly Hogan about dopamine is incredible. Pretty much any video from Kelly Hogan is incredible. That woman is just anointed by God to just speak and make sense. She's a teacher. She is so good at taking complicated things and just making them simple. But one thing that I wanted to address that you brought up was you were trying to figure out the amount of fat to eat, to be satiated, to not have these cravings. And I have had to take the limits off of fat. I think that sometimes we look at fat like we do everything else, that we need to fit it into our macros and we need to have it be a limit to it. But I believe that we should eat to satiety on fat. And if we are craving things, if we are losing our mind, that if we need to eat, we should eat fat. And so that's why Amy talks so much. I mean, I cannot tell you how many questions Amy gets about those egg yolk waffles. But whenever you are craving those blueberries, go make yourself some egg yolk waffles and cover them in butter. And it's just amazing what that can do. And I think that what we do is we're like, oh, I need to limit myself. I need to limit myself. Yes, you know, there are certain areas we do need to limit ourselves, but when it comes to fat, you don't need to. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm glad you said that, because when I get cravings at night, I go down and make myself eggs. And,
Yeah.
and almost every time when I wake up in the morning, it didn't affect my weight. I actually lose weight. It's the weirdest thing. And like 10 o'clock at night, I'll make myself, I'm not talking about 2 eggs. I'm talking about like 5 eggs.
Yeah.
With some cheese sprinkled in. So anyways, sorry.
No, Amy has had the same experience. She actually now, I wish she was here. But she'll have to update us the next time she comes in. Amy now puts an egg in her tea at night before she goes to bed. You know, you hear so much about eating in this window and everything. And she says, yes, I agree. You need to eat in that window, but not when it comes to fat. And so if you are craving something at 10 o'clock at night, I know that it's difficult to think about that, but go over to the Mighty Networks and join Amy's Mighty Networks. It is free. Carnivore's Angel. There's a Mighty Networks that she has. It's like social media without the media, where you can just go and you can just basically binge on everything that Amy is saying. And she goes over in detail answering these questions. But yeah, do what Tom said. And my father, oh my gosh, he's been making scrambled egg yolks, where, you know, he just eliminates the whites and he puts a little bit of cream in there to get it fluffy, puts butter in the pan, egg yolks and cream, and he's satiated. So there's no limit on what you can do when it comes to fat. So I hope that helps with the cravings. Any other questions, Vicki?
Well, I think the biggest issue is when I took that blueberry and I ate some, I ate more than one, of course. You know, I'm out there picking from the tree, pop, 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 pop. But the first one I put in my mouth, it was like eating pure sugar, because I haven't had sweet until I had the plums. But, you know, when I talk about my plum tree, you know, my plum tree, it's not like your plums you get at the store. So the plums are little, you know, they're just small. But anyway, I really need to work on getting off of the keto trail. And by what I mean by that is I got so used to on keto tracking everything. I'm still using my Fitness Pal. I'm still doing most of the time always 1 meal a day, because I got honed in on that 1 meal a day thing for the longest time. And sometimes I think it might end up hurting me, but I don't know. And so that's where I don't know if I'm hurting myself, because, you know, when I first started carnivore, I had lost 26 pounds since starting carnivore, and I started it January 21st. I had to look back on my, January 21st is when I started it. And so I had lost 26 pounds. Well, now I've gained 7 pounds within the last 5 days. And so, it's just very frustrating for me. And, I'm having this sciatica stuff going on too, which is starting to get better now. But, then I asked myself, is it because my body's trying to heal from this? Is this going on? And, what am I doing wrong? And I blame it on myself because out there eating blueberries, and then craving this sugar so badly now. And I just don't know what I should do and what I shouldn't do. Should I stick with this 1 meal a day like I've always done? And I only do 2 meals a day every great once in a while.
Honestly, no. If you are having cravings, I feel that you should feed those cravings. I feel that you should absolutely eat. Because if your body is going into that survival mode of like screaming for sugar, then you need to feed it with fat. And I don't feel that this is something you should white knuckle your way through. I feel that this is something that, like I said, you should satiate and nourish your body to get back to that. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, I get so stubborn. It was like, I've got to wait. I got to wait. I can't.
No.
And
that's why I'm so glad this happened. And I know you don't want to hear this, Vicki, but I'm so glad this happened, because that just gives us another layer of healing for us to be able to really repair our relationship with food, and to recognize that the blueberries are not the enemy. The plums are not the enemy. The cravings are not, a sign of weakness. They're a sign of chemistry being off. That's all it is. This isn't Vicki did bad. This is Vicki did an experiment. Now Vicki needs to correct her chemistry in her body. And the way to correct your chemistry in your body is to, I don't know if you have a blood glucose monitor, but to measure your blood glucose, and to measure even your ketones, to find out what's going on that level.
Well, if y'all have a blood glucose monitor that you recommend, just drop it in chat and I'll write that down.
I recommend the Keto Mojo, because as you fine tune this, it really helps to really know what is going on. I really wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll give you guys a little snapshot, a little preview. Amy and I are actually doing a 3-day workshop the last week of July, because she has been inundated with questions on how to fix your chemistry, how to do this, to figure out your ratios with protein and fat. And we are learning so much. And so we're going to do a 3-day workshop to answer all of these questions. It is valued at $100 because Amy and I have been in the trenches. Yes, in the chat, it says Keto Mojo is the best for monitoring glucose and ketones. I agree. But we've been in the trenches. And so we've really not only helped our clients, but we've helped ourselves, and we're continuing to heal. Amy and I both are still sick and still healing. But whenever you register, we're creating a website. And whenever you register on this website, it has a $100 off coupon. So it's free. And so I want to give you guys a heads up. We don't have the dates or the times figured out yet. We're still working on that. We're meeting about it tomorrow to really finalize everything. But I want to give you hope that there are going to be answers. There's so much to talk about. If you want an answer today, go join Carnivores Angels Mighty Networks. It is free. And you can find her to be able to connect with her, to ask her those questions. Go follow her on YouTube, Carnivore's Angel. She has so many lives, so many videos where she answers all of these questions. You can sit there and binge watch it. So anyway, I hope that helps.
Especially lately, because she's rediscovered increasing her fat content. So the last several videos she's done have been about that pretty much.
Absolutely. Fat is key. Fat is key for mental health, for metabolic health. It is just amazing. And what's so cool is I'm going back to clients that I've worked with 6 months ago, and they had already, when working with me, they broke their addiction to sugar and carbs. They resolved their mental illness. They've had now they don't have pain in their body. You know, they're healing and they're amazing. And they're like, I'm going to keep eating this way forever. But the scale hasn't moved on some of them. I went back and told them what I'm learning, what Amy and I are learning, and they're losing weight now. And it is phenomenal. It is so cool to be able to go back to my clients and go, hey, I found this extra piece of the puzzle. Here you go, try it. They tried it and they're knocking it out of the park. It's the coolest thing ever. So Amy and I were like, we got to tell everybody. We got to tell everybody. This is too cool. All right. I hope that answers your question, Vicki, and gives you some encouragement. Awesome. Shelly, I'm so sorry. Yes, go ahead.
It's okay. So I wanted a couple of things to update, but the first thing I wanted to say, just listening in here and listening to some videos, I know we all look at ourselves and we feel like we're not normal, we're misfits, we're mistakes, things happened. But I'm saying this probably more for myself, is we are all perfectly and wonderfully made,
So
regardless
true.
of what's going on. And again, I say that for me. I think some of you all know I started carnivore 9 months ago, mainly to heal a skin issue. And in the process, I ended up having my breast implants removed 10 weeks ago. And a couple of days ago was the first time I've looked in a full-length mirror at my body naked.
Oh, goodness.
And it just made me realize, like, I haven't let my husband touch me just because I feel gross, but I've kind of reframed that. How would the good Lord think of me? He's made me, and I won't look at me, but he made me regardless of what's going on with me. So I wanted to just put that out there again, probably more for me than anybody else, just to declare that, because I got to start looking in the mirror. So that's been a big win for me this week. And also with Tom talking, so I had lab work done prior to, I've been a runner and a weightlifter, and prior to starting carnivore, my LDL, or my total cholesterol, was 203. My total cholesterol with my last set of labs was 523.
Wow.
My LDL was 105 and now it's 323. My HDL was 100, which was good, but now it's 150. My triglycerides stayed the same. They were 48 and now they're 50. So I'm a physical therapist by background. I work in healthcare still. Our insurance rates, we're penalized if we don't meet certain markers with blood pressure, A1C, et cetera. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. But the other thing that's happened, and Emily, I mentioned this to you, my A1C was 5.4. Now my A1C is 5.9. And I have had 0 carbs for 9 months.
Wow.
So my fasting glucose went up, and my glucose, I've been taking I was even in a CGM when I first started carnivore just to see how it was going to impact my running. Sorry about the noise, I'm outside.
It's okay.
My blood sugars were fine. My blood sugars now, sometimes in the morning I have a heart, I'm 115, 125. I've been cleared to run. So, you know, I am spiking after my runs, but that's been expected. So I've, you know, reached out to several folks. You know, it's gluconeogenesis that your body's recognizing. It's your body's healing. I've had some back and forth with Ted Naiman, and he thinks my fat is way too high. That I have too much. Yeah, he said, you know, you have too much energy in your body, especially if you get back to the running the distances that you were and the lifting. But I go back to Emily. I said this to you last time, and I'll say it again. There's a knowing, and it's N equals 1 and trusting yourself. And so I'm playing around with my macros to see if I can switch, you know, if I can lower protein and up the fat. Is that going to help my A1Cs or my just getting my morning glucose down? Because it used to be in the low 90s. Before carnivore, I was, you know, 80s, 90s. But I wouldn't go back to eating the way I was. I was working with a nutritionist to train for marathons, and I was eating 200-300 grams of carbs a day. And again, the only reason I started this way was I developed a skin issue. So, but if, you know, Tom, I know I've pulled all the research on cholesterol. I'm ready to have that battle with my physician, because I will not go on a statin. My dad died at 50 of a heart attack, and I have a brother that's 47 that's already had a heart attack. So I know that family history. He's going to push a statin. I'm going to do my best to resist. But I'm also looking for research about the whole A1C thing. Is it gluconeogenesis? Is it just my body still recovering from surgery? You know, I'm a healthy, I think I'm 5'8", and I fluctuate. I was 130 when I started carnivore, and now I'm like 138. So, but anyway, I guess my first point is what I wanted to stress is we are all perfectly and wonderfully made, regardless of what's going on with us.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank you so much for saying that. Did you want to add in on that, Tom?
Yeah, it made me think about the surgeries that I've had, and you know, how that plays into everything as well. So what I did want to say to Shelley was, have you done a CT calcium score?
I have actually looked into that, and I'm going to have it done on my own. Here, I'm in Kentucky. It's $125 to go on my own. I'm going to do it before I go in to see the doctor, just so I can have that on top of all the research. I've never had a baseline one. I've never had any, you know, any issues with any of my
just because of the family history is why I would say. But if you're 0, then that's a good thing to have in your back pocket for sure.
Yeah, I actually moved my physical, because we're required to have an annual physical and lab work for our insurance, and so I've actually pushed that back so I can get my CAC before I go.
Dr. Paul Mason has a good video about that. He had a patient that got rejected for insurance, and the guy looked like a decathlon athlete with 0 body fat. It's just, you know, it's really good. So if you find that one, it's really a really good one on cholesterol.
Yeah, and when you were talking, I thought about the guy's last name is Diamond. I can't think of his first name. He has a couple of good videos out there too about cholesterol that I pulled some of his research to take to the doctor. Dave Diamond, maybe. I know his last name's Diamond.
I'm glad that you guys say that, because I think a really good place for us to post anything is in my Facebook group, Inner Clarity System. Just go on Facebook, or I'm sure that's in the notes right there in the chat. Inner Clarity System Facebook, and then you guys can communicate to each other. You can say, hey Tom, here's that, you know, video I was telling you about, or whatever. So because I know that this is just Zoom, we just have this meeting right here, but that way you guys can share and collaborate, you know, the research that we're doing, or hey, here's that Kelly Hogan video that was really good. Don't hesitate ever to post something in my Facebook group, because I can guarantee you that somebody else wants to hear that. That is the hour. Thank you guys so much. This has been such a great conversation. I love having these conversations with you guys, and this is just my favorite. Thank you so much, and have a good Saturday. See you next week. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right.